And we are live. Welcome to the Smart Move podcast. This is Coach Lisa Prudy coming back to you with an amazing topic. And once again, I'm with my friend and brother, Freddie, and we're going to talk to you today about five behaviors that all successful immigrants have in common. And we would like for you to contribute, share your thoughts. We'll like this to be a conversation. And we haven't had a live for a long time. We haven't been able to connect with you for a long time. It's been a busy season, but now it's time to get back to work and get this going with the Smart Move podcast. So again, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for giving your contributions, your suggestions to make this a successful podcast that will help all the immigrants who want to be successful in the United States. So, without further ado, let me welcome my co-host here. How are you doing,
I'm doing great. How
Mr.
about yourself?
Kabu? How's,
Yeah,
how, how's the car business treating you, Freddie?
it's good. It's good. I can't really complain.
Hmm.
Everything's good.
Okay. So, what's new so far in your business sector or your industry? Is it pretty
Well,
quiet these days now that we're getting into winter? Or?
yes, winter is quiet, but we are getting ready for tax time that's
Mhm.
coming in 3, 4 months. So, yep,
Awesome. And so tax time means more sales because people have some money to spend.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
Not,
amazing.
not sure how it's going to look like this year, but we'll see.
Okay. Anyway, on my end, it's been amazing so far. A great year. I've been able to, focus on real estate and just be able to um, sell more homes to investors, help people build generational wealth. Also, many families that couldn't afford a home, are now able to uh, call their house a home because so far they've been renting, and we all know that renting is losing. So it's been an amazing year for me as well, and I'm happy to be back here with you. So, how do you feel about this topic for today?
We, as immigrant, we are suffering from that disease, if I would call it that way, because when you move in a country and you don't know how to move, it's going to be difficult for you. That's one of the reason, like we are going to talk about the reason why people are broke, they are struggling, they are living paycheck to paycheck, they are not able to live the American dream. We're gonna actually talk about all of that tonight.
That's absolutely amazing, Freddie. And the good thing is, you are a millionaire and you're happy to be a millionaire. I am a millionaire and I'm happy to be one. And I'm not scared or, I'm not apologetic about it. I work
Mm.
hard to get where I am today. It took me more than 10 years, but it only took you 5 years. And there is a reason, even less than 5 years. And there's a reason to that. And I think that's the reason why we decided to start this podcast because we want to give people all the knowledge that we have gathered so far, discuss our mistakes, the things that worked, things that didn't work that well, and just help others, get the best out of this amazing country. So I'm gonna start with you. When we say five behaviors that successful immigrants all have in common, you and I are both successful, and there are many other immigrants out there that are very, very successful. In
Mm.
your opinion, what is that first thing? What's that first behavior that you believe they all have in common?
I will not say behavior here. I will talk about something that I spoke about for a long time, and I always said to anybody moving to this country or a different country, that is not yours. First of all, what you don't want to do before starting the behaviors, what you don't want to do is to get to America, where we are right now, and go stay with the people that are from the same country as you are. That's the first, that's because when you are staying in that environment, what is happening is, we know the belief system that you come from Cameroon, for example, like people are here, but they are still like they are back home.
Mhm.
It's not possible. You are not going to be successful living that way. So, my
Mhm.
first advice, if you come to America, get out of Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, and Laurel, or other places in Texas, because you want to stay within the community. That's the problem. Because in that
Mhm.
community, most of the people are doing the same thing. Like, if you are not a nurse or doing CNA or working small jobs or doing computer science, it's just the same. Like, they are doing the same thing. They are not thinking outside of the box. And if you still think inside of the box, you never ever going to be like live your full potential and experience the American dream. That's the first thing. Like, in my from my opinion, if you come to this country, you want to go to different places. You want to experience the culture. You want to experience to learn how to speak the language. And this is as good as like Hispanic people, like, because off camera we were talking about, you said that Hispanic, they are speaking Spanish, but they are making a lot of money. That's true. But if you are looking, the ones that makes the big bucks, those are the ones that took the time to actually learn the culture and the language. Because if you have to sign big contracts and you can't understand the contract, you have to walk around with a 12 years old that's going to come and explain it. It doesn't make sense. I sell used cars. So sometimes I see a guy coming, he's 15, 20 years in the country. He's working with his daughter or his son that is 9, 12 years old, and I have to speak so they can translate to their dad or their mom. For me, it just don't make sense. Like, you come on in a new country, and then you are not, you stay with your people, because what's happening is they always stay together. That's why they never learn the language, and this is happening to us too. I know some people like 25 years in the US, but their English is kind of weird. Like, you don't, it's so you cannot stay, have that kind of belief or mentality and
Mhm.
thinking that it's going to take you somewhere. No, you are going to struggle. You are going to live paycheck to paycheck, and you are not going to, you're always going to be bitter looking at the young people that came after you being successful, because you didn't follow the right path. You come here, you stay away from your people. The community is good. You want to go every Sunday, play the Tuesday, and drink some beers. That's good, but it's not what we came here for.
Right.
So my first advice would be to get out of the community
Mm.
and explore the country, learn the culture and the language.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, I wouldn't put it that way. In my opinion, I feel like sometimes, just being around your community can be helpful because some people have learned the ropes and how things work in the new country, and they can easily help you, find your way around things or give you some guidance and things like that. I partially agree with you because sometimes the people that you meet when you get somewhere can mislead you or misguide you. But I think it's really on a case by case situation here. But definitely, it's important to learn the new language when you get here. To learn English, even if you're not fluent, just really understand and be able to have the conversation, be able to read, understand, like you said, contracts or things like that. Even if it's just an employment contract, even if it's a business contract or anything of that sort, you want to know what you're getting yourself into, even if somebody's going to explain that to you. So I definitely agree with you. Number one, to try to understand the language. And those of you who are watching us, please feel free to chime in, give us your opinion. What do you think are some of the things that are important, like the good behaviors to have in order to be successful here? And most successful people took the time to educate themselves. So beyond just learning the language, I think what Freddie is saying here is number one is to really invest into your education. And the best education you can have comes with at least understanding the language. So I definitely agree with you there, Freddie. But I think we can focus on just surrounding ourselves with the best people that can give us the best advice, and that are also ambitious enough to be an inspiration to us. So if you come and you see somebody, all the person has been doing is being a nanny for 15 years, definitely the person is going to encourage you to become a nanny. If the person has been a CNA for 15 years, that's what they're going to ask you to do. If the person is doing IT and making six-figure a year, they're going to push you into taking a training and getting into IT. Same for nursing, etc. So I think, yes, the people you surround yourself with, your circle, has a huge impact, and that's why a lot of people always say that your network is your network is your net worth, because the people that you network with would definitely impact the kind of wealth that you're able to build. So yes, I agree with you there, Freddie. Absolutely. And I just want to give you, maybe one thing about what I would say here when it comes to behavior, or the in my opinion, right? The one behavior that I think is very common to most wealthy or successful immigrants is the go-getter mentality. Is the level of ambition, right? Like they are hungry, like Les Brown, like in my Les Brown voice, they are hungry, and they are ready to do everything that they can because they know where they're coming from. And if you're like me and you were born in a mud house, and you were not able to have enough money to feed yourself properly, to clothe yourself properly, to go to the best schools, things like that. When you come from a background where you've seen a high level of poverty, you don't want to ever go back there. And that's one thing that I think motivate a lot of people that come here. Most people that come here that maybe come from very wealthy families, sometimes they don't feel the same pressure that somebody who's coming from a very modest family that has to work hard and send money back home. Once you're working and you're making $15 an hour and you have to send $500 back home, once you do that twice, you can see, you can feel that you no longer have enough money to pay your rent for a room, because I'm not even talking about an apartment. And so at one point, you're going to feel the pressure to do something better. And I've seen this, right, multiple times. And one person that I met recently who started a business, um, I think he is now I think it's UPS or FedEx franchisee, and he's built an excellent business, a successful business over the years, and without even having a green card for the most part of the time that he's been here. So he started working, for other people, and then he started to figure out, how can I start my own business? How can I buy a franchise? How can I do this? How can I do that? Because he wanted to make more money so he can help his family back home. So those of the immigrants that get here and they have the pressure of taking care of family back home, of having a better life than what they had back home, they have that pressure to be successful. So I would say the first behavior is the level of ambition, is to be hungry and to be a go-getter, to be the person that would always push your limits, that will always try to get something better than what you have today. And I'm going to take an example on myself. I remember when I first got here, I think my first position, I was making $9 an hour when I was working in a call center for Comcast. And while I was working there, the $9, first of all, wasn't enough. So to make more than the $9, the idea was to work more hours. But at one point, it's only 24 hours in a day. So even if you work overtime, I was working overtime, overtime, overtime. So I was making some extra money to send back home to take care of my family. But at one point, I noticed that it doesn't matter how many extra hours I work. If my base pay is $9 an hour, $9.50 an hour, I'm not going to go anywhere with that. So I had to find a way to make more money. So I started looking for other positions in other companies, but staying in the same, same industry of call centers and things like that. And I got into a new position at $15 an hour. And from that position, I was looking to get bonuses, to work overtime again. I almost gave birth at work in the call center when I was pregnant with my second son, because I was working so many overtime. And at one point, I understood that even if I have $15 an hour, it doesn't matter how many overtime hours I work, it's not going to take me anywhere, because at the time I was in an apartment, and the apartment price kept going up, 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 up. And at that point, I decided in 2012, I think I need to buy a house. And so if I need to buy a house, I need more money. I need to have my down payment. I need to have this, that. So as my ambitions kept growing, right? From renting a room, because I was renting a room, and when I first got here, and it wasn't a room like you would say, like a big room. It was a dorm. Like I was in Logan, Utah when I got my first job, and in Logan, Utah, Logan is a university city. So all you have is most of the time just rooms that are set up for students. So I was sleeping on a little student bed. Like it would be a twin bed, I think. That's where I was for maybe $250 a month. That's where I started. Then after that, I got a bigger room, and after that, I got an apartment. But at one point, the apartment was still not enough, especially given that I was pregnant, I had a baby, and things like that. I needed a house. When the more ambitions you have, the more money you need to make, right? As you take care of the people back home, and as you take care of yourself here and the things that you need to do. So I needed the house, so I needed more money. I got out of working for $15 an hour and jumped into something better for $21. Not $21. I was actually being paid commissions. And mind you, you're gonna find that funny. But I went to work for a car dealership. It was an Acura dealer, Acura Nissan dealer in Laurel, Maryland. I was making more money there. The funny thing is, when I got there, I was the only woman in the sales
Yeah.
team, and everybody was like, "This person is gonna be crushed." Especially given that I was coming there all sappy, all dressed up with beautiful dress, heels, and all that. They were like, "This person is not gonna survive." Selling cars, you're not going to wear heels for a long time, darling. As you walk to go get those cars, you're going to be tired. But I was wearing my heels every day, every day, every day. And surprisingly, I was able to make good sales because I am competitive, right? So every time I set some targets, and I meet them and I want to beat them, etc. So I went from that to now becoming self-employed after taking the course for a master's degree in translation studies. I was able to start my translation business and start making six-figure with that. But my point here is, every time that somebody is successful in the United States, if you look very well, you're going to see that person most of the time, 95% of the time, is coming from a poor background and needs to work hard to take care of not only themselves, but also their family back home. And they have to work as hard as they can to never be broke again, to never be poor again. So I think that would be my take here, is that go-getter mentality. That's one behavior, like always trying to get better than what you had yesterday. What do you think about that?
I agree with you to some extent because honestly, me, I don't come from a poor family, like poor. You know my story. So I think most of the time, why? Because I want to go back to what I just said at first.
Mm.
The community you live in, the bubble, like you took the example of people doing computer, and most of the time, when people are coming here, the people you surround yourself with, those are the people that you're trying to mimic. Like you're trying to look like them. And in the environment that I was talking about, most of the time, those people, like they are pretty much doing the same thing. That's where I wanted to go with that idea. It's
Mm.
not like the community is not good, or someone cannot give you advices, but they can only advise you on things that they know or
Right.
they experience. So if someone never experienced a Lambo or a Ferrari, they cannot share with you that experience. And
Right.
when I'm
So, but
talking about,
Freddie, so,
yeah,
but Freddie, in your opinion, then what should you do other than just removing yourself from the community of people that are all doing the same thing? What would be your recommendation in terms of, okay,
that's
I would say adopt this kind of behavior if you want to be successful in the US?
yeah, you have to invest in yourself. That's where I wanted to go with
Right. So
that
education,
idea.
we got that. Yeah, educate
Yeah,
yourself, language and all that. Even, take some certifications. I mentioned going back to school, doing that, master's degree, all whatever. And I think you went to a tech school, right? You went to a
yeah.
tech school for cars? What is
To,
that? Is it
to
mechanic?
learn mechanic, but to be honest, it's not what that school didn't really help me to be what I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the problem was the grind, the why, because you said that you have to send money back home, and I get that. But in my case, I'm the baby of the family, so I didn't have much people to support back home. But still, I wanted to make it so bad that I just decided that I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I have to work on me, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the most of the time people are living in others' shadows. You want to understand you and actually work on yourself. Because I'm saying that because I started to train people on the car business, right?
Right.
It's a very lucrative business. But with time, I understood that every single person has a gift. So the most successful people, immigrant that comes here, they invest on themselves and they actually work on their gift. Like
Right.
you, for example, knowing you, you know how to talk to people. You are a talking machine, and you use that to actually have your real estate license. You use that to sell cars. You use that to do coaching, whatever. So what I want people to understand is there's not only one way, because when people are moving here, they want to do what others do. Like they think that there's just like if you want to be successful, you have to go maybe do computer or nursing, or there's a gift that God gives you that you can develop to make a killing, because that gift is something that you do without even thinking. So
So
most
Freddie, so Freddie, if pardon me, so should I understand by what you're saying that you also have to work on finding your gift? Is that what you're saying? And be
that's
able to see how you can maximize or capitalize on that gift or that talent, because again, this is not something that is so easy to do, right? A lot of people would
Exactly.
die without even knowing exactly what their talents are, or what their gift is, or things like that. So in your opinion, um people have to find what their gift is, what their purpose is, what their talent is. But is there something that you can suggest or recommendation that you can give? Because let's take Ngannou, for example. Ngannou is, I'm not very much of a fan of anything related to fighting, right? Because I mean, I don't even sit down to watch that. I don't understand. But I feel like, okay, the guy is successful in whatever it is that he's doing. So at what
Mhm.
point do you determine, okay, I'm going to be a fighter, or I'm going to be an actor, or I'm going to be a musician like Richard Bona, or like at what how do you come about finding your purpose? Is that something you can help with? Or let's take your example. How did you determine that, okay, this is what I want to do? Because I remember you told us a story about how you got into what you're doing now. And even though you didn't have a poor family back home to take care of, at least you already had a family, your wife and your first, I think, two children, or at least one. And just having that is already something that you have to wake up every morning asking yourself, how am I going to take care of these people that are under my wing? So how do you, under that kind of pressure or that kind of why, how do you determine what your talent is, or what is it that you're going to target in order for you to be successful?
By trying. That's the only thing. Because what a lot of people, like what I see, and because when you talk to people, you observe them, you see, if you're trying to do like me, you're never going to find your purpose. You're never going to know what you're good at. You just have to go out there and try things, fail, try new things until you find the thing that you. When I told my story about the car business, that's something that I got in because I the money was good. But at some point, I figured that my purpose was actually to I like to transform things. Like the part that I enjoyed the most in the car business is the detail part. So I like to take something that is raw and I transform it. When I get into the real estate and I start to decorating the houses, and people were like, damn, that thing looks good. So right now I know that I'm very good with my hands, like everything, even in the mechanic. When I started the mechanic, so just to tell you, you said that I have the family to support, and in my story I told you that before before I became a dealer, I had a job. So one day I just decided to quit. I'm not advising you to go out there and quit your job saying that I said so. But I know that if I go out there and I give my 100% and the car business doesn't work, I'll switch to something else. People are acting sometimes like uh, we are in Cameroon back home where the job is so difficult to find. They are stuck where they are because sometimes you ask somebody, why are you in this or this place? They can't answer because they are afraid to go out there and rediscover, first of all, themselves and new places. If
Yeah,
you don't try things, you're never going to discover your purpose. Like,
right.
what you are very good at.
I
And that's
agree
the
with you.
problem.
Yeah,
Because
I agree
people
with
are
you.
just working jobs, just trying to be like this or that person. It's not working because you keep doing the same thing. Like
Right.
you go out there, some people like they are very good at cooking, but they just don't know how to monetize that. Go to a seminar, go to like surround yourself with people that cook, and you just do, because a lot of people I know a lady that was in a white people group. She
Mhm.
kept posting like cakes that she made. That those were amazing. I'm like, why don't you start like a cake shop? Or because people are afraid that, okay, if I go start that and it doesn't work, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. You can do your cake, start your business, drive Uber or whatever. In America, we have so many things that we can do to actually be able that we can use as a caution in case we start something that does not work.
Yeah, that
That's
makes
the
a
problem.
lot of sense. That makes a
Because
lot of sense.
if you
I
don't
think
go out there and try, you're never gonna find it.
that's true. Freddie, a friend of mine was telling me a few just recently. He was saying he's just started a business and he's not very sure how that business is gonna go. And he just spoke. He said exactly what you just said. And I asked him, so in the meantime, how are you going to pay your rent if the business doesn't work? And he said, okay, that's the reason why I can only. That's the reason why I can only live in certain areas of Maryland because whenever I'm in a difficult position, I know I can always go around and drive for a few days and pay certain bills
Okay.
with
Yeah.
that. And then as we speak now, his business has flourished and he's doing pretty good. So what I want to recap here on what we've said so far concerning the five behaviors successful immigrants all have in common. Number one, you mentioned education. It's important for everyone getting here to educate themselves because all those people who are successful here, they took some form of education. Nobody
Mm.
comes here and just becomes successful like that, unless all you're doing is maybe sitting in front of your camera and just showing your body parts or whatever. And for that, maybe even that, I think sometimes they still have to maybe go learn some, learn how to do that. But again, I believe that number one, you said education is very important. You don't have to go and do long studies. Some people have to go back to school and spend 10 years in school. But sometimes you only need 1 year. I remember taking a training for 3 months and being able to find a position, a six-figure position with that 3 month training because I had the drive to find it. So everything is possible. You just have to pick exactly what you want to do, find your why, like Freddie said, and then and then gather all the knowledge needed in order to be successful in that. As a realtor today, as a five-star realtor that I am, licensed in 7 states and selling millions of dollars worth of real estate, I
Mm.
do not stop learning. I have two mentors. I pay for trainings every month. I am taking a paid training in real estate, and I have a membership where I make payments every month to go learn something new in real estate, right? So when I come here and maybe I do a live or maybe I share some posts about real estate and people love what they're reading and they take that information and they thrive, I actually go and pay to get all of that information. So yes, it's important to invest in yourself. And most people who are successful in the United States, they invest in themselves. And the second thing that we mentioned is your ability to be, to develop a high level of ambition. You have to be extremely ambitious because all those successful immigrants that you see that are millionaires, they are extremely, extremely ambitious. And I remember one of them, who's the owner of Kitchen Near You here and other businesses as well. I remember years ago, I was able to see the books, and this gentleman was making over $1.5 million per year just by doing catering and just having a restaurant. But like you said, most people are scared and they keep their restaurant in their backyard or in their living room or in their basement. But this gentleman was bold enough to go and start, the business in a place where even American people could come and then try some African or Cameroonian dishes. And this is what we're talking about. So now he can sit down, make some money, and pay his taxes and be a successful millionaire immigrant like you and I here in the United States. And not only him, there are so many other people out there that came here, number one, got the education, number two, high level of ambition. And then the third thing that you mentioned that was very important is the ability to fail forward, to learn from, so from, failing, or from failure, because a lot of people are scared that, oh, if I do this I may fail. Like you said, there's always a way for you, right, to take care of your needs, your basic needs, if worse comes to worse. So you always have to jump and go, get into everything that you want to do, and just have that cautious, right, that little cushion, I'm sorry, on the side, that could help you in case you need something, that's going to be there as a backup, right? Like in my case, for example, I have multiple sources of business, of income. And if I spend a whole month without receiving requests for translations, um I can still make money, because I am also a realtor. I learned how to become a realtor, even though I have a master's degree from New York University, in translation studies. I could have been just an interpreter or a translator for the rest of my life, but I went and
Mhm.
learned something else. Right. And then, other than that, I also went and took trainings to become a life coach. And just by coaching other people, helping them achieve their goals, that's making me some money. So even if I have nobody to coach, I'm still gonna have people that need translations. Even if I have nobody that needs translations, people are always going to need a place to stay. Even if the person is not buying a house, the person at least is going to need to rent a
Yeah.
house, right? So regardless, there's always going to be something out there. You just need to have those multiple sources of income to be able to sustain yourself while you're working on achieving your dreams. And I think what Freddie was, you were really focusing on, is really just making sure that people work on their purpose, their why, their talent, their gift. And a lot of people do not stay true to their talent or their gift. They just are followers. They just go with the trend. If everybody's doing nursing now, I'm going to be a nurse. If everybody's doing IT now, I'm going to be into IT. If everybody is a coach now, I'm going to become a coach. Whatever people are doing, I want to do that. If everybody's becoming a YouTuber now, I want to become a YouTuber. So for example, you and I, to set up this live, it was painful, because we had to do everything that we had to do, especially me, and then still figure out how to come and sit here and have this conversation to boost other people, and just encourage them. So it's you have to be able to find a balance, but still walk in your truth, right, in your gift. So far, we have three behaviors that most successful people have. Freddie, what do you think is the and another behavior that we can call behavior number four, that you think most successful immigrants here in the United States, they have all been able to develop? What would you think that is?
You have to get a mentor.
Mm,
That's very important because a lot of people sometimes when they hear mentor, they thinking somebody that you're gonna pay, or they think there are different type of mentoring depending on the place of life, the situation in life that you find yourself in. I'll just give you a simple example. When I moved in the state, um, I never said that story, but back home, I love cars. So back home, I was like, okay, when I'm going to be to get in the United States, I'm going to drive Chargers and Bentleys, and so I came in couple of months here. Um, like everybody, I started to get in Cameroonian groups, and there was that lady. I think her name is Mimi. We are friends on Facebook, but I never spoke. I don't even know what she's doing. So she was posting houses, her house, I think it's her house with a pool and the Bentley in the driveway. I was like, damn, if a Cameroonian can have that kind of life, I'm pretty sure I can. Meaning, Like a lot of people, we have to have someone that we want to look like. That's very important. That's something that is going to push you. And when I say that someone, to um, it's easier to have someone coming from the same place as you are. It doesn't really matter what they are doing for a living. You just want to know that that person didn't won the lottery or whatever and can be able to afford that kind of lifestyle. Second, there's I was watching a lot of real estate show in 2021 when Selling Tampa came out. The first episode was thing of $14 million mansion in Florida that was for sale. A guy pull up with a blue Lambo. I'll never forget that. And they were talking, and at some point, the lady asked the guy who he was from, and he said he was from Cameroon. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
that is what I aspire to be.
Mm,
So at some point, because if you cannot like vibrate at the high frequency, you cannot actually attract some things to you.
that's right.
'Cause your frequency is actually what you frequently see. I'll say that one more time for people in the back. Your frequency is what you frequently see. I frequently see myself in a oceanfront house with nice cars. And so if you are seeing yourself, if you have like, because, and by the way, that's just, it has nothing to do with what I was talking, but stay away from people with negative thoughts, like all people that self sabotage themselves all the time. That's the kind of people I hate. Like you are my friend on Facebook, and I see your posts all the time. I wake up, I see you post some sad stories or sad things. I'll block you straight up. So that was just, so you have to find yourself a mentor. If you can't pay them, watch them.
That
There's
part.
YouTube. Like you can watch people, and in on YouTube, there's so many people talking about so many different things. There's one person that you are going to connect with.
Mm,
When I say connect, it's like spiritually, you are going to say, that's my man. This is the person I
yeah.
want to look like. If you don't have money to pay for the mentoring or listen to them, look at their lifestyle. And this is something that is going to push you to improve yourself. Like if somebody is in this or that industry, and if it's something that you tend to, because some people get in contact with me because they saw some videos that I post on Facebook selling cars. They'd be like, oh, I was doing that, buying cars here and selling back home for years. I never knew that I can easily do that here. So I guess I inspire them to start actually selling cars in the United States, making more money than having to ship back home and wait for months and deal with the duties and all that to make pennies at the end. So
Yeah.
you have to get yourself a mentor,
Right.
paid or free. It doesn't
Right.
really matter. You have to have someone that you aspire
To
to be like.
become.
Yeah.
That's amazing what you just said, because you can either have a mentor or a model, right?
Yeah.
A mentor, whether you're paying or not paying the person has a connection with you and somehow is influencing or guiding you through things that you're doing. And the model is actually inspiring you sometimes without even knowing. And just by watching them from afar, that is enough to completely change your life. And that is what happened to me. I remember when I started in real estate, I got my license and I didn't immediately start selling homes. But I was following this show, um, Grants and Gems, on social media, on YouTube, with Earn Your Leisure. I was watching a lady in Atlanta called Kiana Watson,
Mm,
and some other real estate professionals. I was watching ladies who leased Atlanta, watching selling Tampa, watching selling Sunset, watching all those people, and I'm thinking, this is where I can combine, my love for fashion and real estate. So it was really fun to watch. But I want to ask you this question before I get into, more details here, Freddie. How do you how do you handle people who think that those models that we look at are just showing off and they shouldn't show off because those things are completely lame, useless, are those, things of the earth, and we should be focusing on more important things, rather than thinking about Lamborghini, Bentley, and things like that. So what do you tell those people who say when they see you in your convertible with your wife, or on a boat, or on an ocean or lakefront house, they're thinking that you want to show off, whereas somebody else or someone else is just looking at you, and just by seeing that lifestyle, just like you did, it's inspired to go work hard and tell themselves that I can relate to this young man because we are the same age. We're almost the same age, and we're from the same continent, and we're all immigrants, and he was able to successfully achieve this in the United States. So I believe that I want to do that. So how do you feel about, those people who believe it's just showing off, and um it's very inappropriate, to show all that success to inspire others?
that's the reason why they are where they are right now. It's because they don't even believe in wealth. That's the problem. Because they think that when someone is doing that, it's because they want to show off. I say that your frequency is what you frequently see. See, if they're in their mind, they frequently seeing poverty or them driving a RAV4 is their maximum. I see myself in a $5 million car. So, and as a matter of fact, I have nothing to even discuss with you. And I have everybody's uh, can live his the captain of his life. So you can live your life whatever you want. So if you think I'm showing off, there's always something that somebody's gonna say. That's to be honest, because what you are showing on the internet will inspire somebody, will make another one jealous. Like that girl Mimi, she inspired me. That's to be honest. Like she was like my model. I was like, okay, someone in the United States, Cameroonian, that drives a
Mm.
Bentley. It's that means to me that is possible.
It is
So
possible. Yes.
the people that think that it's just show off, they are just took because a proverb say that if you give a sperm to if you hold on if you give love to a woman, she'll give you. So it's just the same thing. Like
Right.
I just if you take it to the wrong way, you are going to stay broke in your whole life.
Right.
But if
Right.
you take it to the positive way and get inspired by that, you are going to get out of where you are right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I think that's where the problem lies, is that there is a difference between admiration and envy. And I think it's a whole video
Yes,
of
yeah.
itself. Because when you were looking at Mimi, you were admiring and were being inspired by what she was doing and what she was showing. She was showing you what is possible, and she was able to stretch, to stretch your limits, right? because people only live or set targets based on what they see and what they
Exactly.
think is possible.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't see that, you would remain in the, for example, me, so far, I thought that most people doing real estate, investing in real estate are white people. They were
Exactly.
born in generations where, in families where generations have been investing in real estate, and they just took over from their parents and grandparents and
Mhm.
ancestors. I didn't even know that you could actually, as an African or an immigrant, you could actually buy properties here. And even when I ended up buying a property, I thought that I could only buy that one. Until one day, I really wanted to buy more, and I kept seeing people talking. In fact, it's a Cameroonian that was talking about his properties. I forgot his name, but he kept talking about his properties. That George, actually, George.
George, the mentor.
George
Yeah.
kept talking about his properties that he's investing in with his wife and all that. He said, "Yeah, you should do that. You should do that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't even know that you can acquire properties. Wouldn't that require a lot of money? And I said, "No, no, no, no. All you need is just a little bit of a down payment, whatever you can do. And if you don't have a down payment, if you've been in your house for a year, you can actually go and move out of that, get another house, and put that one for rent." I mean, I was able to have that conversation with him, and he was already buying multiple units with his wife at the time. This is years ago, like
Years
years,
ago.
years
Yeah.
ago.
I
And so
remember when
just
he was
by
talking
having
about
that
that.
conversation with him, just by talking to him about it, just by seeing what he was doing, it was inspiring to me. Let's assume that he was acting the way most people want and just be keeping quiet and keeping it to himself, keeping it. People are saying, "Oh, l'argent ne fait pas le bruit, money doesn't make noise. If you're making money, people don't need to know about it." I needed to know about something like that to know it was possible. And so when I purchased the investment properties, I purchased the first one, and then I spoke with the lender, and I asked the lender, "Okay, so if I have some more money, is it okay? Am I allowed to take more properties?" The lender was like, "Oh yeah, as long as you have another down payment available and you have your reserves available, we're going to qualify you for for more properties." And so to me, it was mind blowing, to see that it's possible for me to get more than one property. So one day, after a project that I worked on, for the US government in translations, I was able to make enough money to be able to purchase three investment properties all at once. And so I went to closing, signed all three, and was like, "Oh my goodness, je suis arrivé aux États-Unis. I have arrived in the US." I didn't even know this was possible. I had to talk to somebody who said that this was possible, who was doing this, in order for me to even be aware that I could discuss
Exactly.
that, with a lender. So I think, to your point, it's very important that you surround yourself with people that have open mind, that have the ability to share their knowledge, and that can inspire you to do greater things. That is very, very important. And I was telling you the story about all those ladies that I saw and how they were doing real estate and all of that, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I have been thinking, okay, real estate is at least 45, 50 pages. So just thinking about the number of pages that I have to read for a contract, that was already giving me anxiety just to think about it. But now when I saw all this Louboutin and all this Louis Vuittons and all these big mansions, $25 million, $30 million, looking at all these things, all the beautiful cars. I love beautiful cars. I love beautiful, fashion and all of that. So I was like, and I love the money. So I'm thinking, my goodness. So if there are three things that I love: fashion, car, money, big homes, beautiful homes and all of that in one business, and I'm not going to get into that business, my being scared of 45 pages, that just went away. Like, it went out of the window. And I got into real estate. My first year, I was able to sell $10 million worth of real estate. That is quite impressive for a first year realtor. And that is because I was watching these people and they were doing all these things. And so it's important that you tell yourself that you need a mentor. You have to understand the importance of having a mentor, like Freddie said, because those people were mentoring me without even knowing. They were a model to me. And that's very important. So we said, number one, invest in your education. from learning English to taking all the trainings that you need, even if it's just to learn how to start a baking show, a
So,
store, you
mhm.
know, how to start a car dealership, how to start a beauty salon and just have a chain of beauty salons, like a franchise everywhere, you know, how to start a import and export business, how to become a lawyer, how to do all these things. It's all about getting yourself into a position where you have the right knowledge, the right training. Number two, we said that it was very, very important for you to have a high level of ambition. That's the second behavior of people that are successful immigrants here. You have to be very, very ambitious. Even if you're not coming from a very poor background like me, and you were more in a reasonable kind of lifestyle like Freddie, you still have, you know, a wife or a husband or children, or you may be orphans or people that you want to help out there. There's still a why. There's still something. Maybe there's even your mom or your dad that you want to impress. You want to make them proud. It doesn't matter what is your why, but find a way to always go outside your comfort zone. Go outside of the box. Go beyond the level that you were. In fact, be your first competitor and always be better than who you were yesterday. And that's who you're competing against. Is trying to be better than who you were yesterday. In the meantime, you're also getting inspired by the people that you admire. And we also learned that you have to be able to accept challenges, failure. Don't give up just because you're going to do something and you're going to fail the first time. Most wealthy, successful immigrants, they started a business, failed. I started businesses, I failed miserably. In hair salon business, for example, I opened multiple salons and I shut all of them down because I cannot even wash hair. I can't even do shampoo. So when somebody's not there, if a stylist is not there, I can't even keep my business going. So my business depended on people, and I learned my lessons. You know, you would start things, you would do them, it wouldn't work. A lot of things that I did didn't work, but today I'm happy that I found, you know, the right industry that I want to be in, and I'm happy to be in that industry. And as we speak right now, we're talking about mentors as well. Very important for you to find a good mentor. If you're watching Freddie online, you see what he does, and you're interested, don't be scared. Call Freddie. Tell Freddie, I want to start a dealership. Freddie, can you teach me how to start a dealership? I'm sure he's gonna be happy to do that as long as he has the time for it. Same for me. People always ask me, how are you gonna encourage everybody to become a realtor? Now they're gonna come and they're gonna take some of your market share. And I'm like, no, there are more than 300 million people in the United States. At one point,
Exactly.
somebody's going to need a house. They need help. So I feel like, you know, there is so much wisdom that we shared tonight, you and I. But I'm sure, you know, some people are going to learn a lot from this and apply and probably, you know, get to a point where they become successful immigrants as well. That's all that I wish. But I want to give you the opportunity, Freddie, if there is anything else that you would like to add when it comes to successful immigrants and what they all have in common, right? Other than, you know, knowledge, other than ambitions, other than all investing in their education, investing in getting mentors, and you know things and learning from mistakes or from failures. What is some, you know, one last thing that you can tell all the immigrants that are watching us now and that would love to be successful as well?
They have to learn how to use leverage. That's very important because most of the time, and I almost did that mistake in 2020, about September. I was about to go back home and buy a land to build some um, apartment complex, an apartment complex. But the catch is, once you do that, you have to pay up front to actually build
100%.
that apartment complex with your own money. I know a lot of people, there's even a brother that has a channel talking about leveraging in Africa, but it's 10 times difficult to actually leverage in Africa than here. So most of us, we are afraid to invest to use leverage in order to grow fast. Because at some point I didn't make that move, and I decided to invest here. Actually, it's a long story. I got kicked out of that house and I was forced to buy a house, and then I figured that I'm going to buy more houses so I can cash flow, pay the bank and still have some money. A lot of people, they come here and they think that, oh, you're never gonna own a house in the United States and blah blah blah. I'll rather go back and use my money to build apartments or whatever. But the thing that they forget is you don't live back home, you live in the United States.
Yeah,
That's the
that's right.
problem. I came here, I saw some people 15 years in the state. This the, since I got here, they say every year that they are going back, and they never did. So use leverage. Successful immigrant use a lot of leverage
That's right.
in their businesses. In That's how you make the big bucks. You want to use like people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. They are Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world, but he doesn't buy anything cash with his own money. He used the bank money, and
That's right.
then
Or investors' money. Let's look at Twitter.
yeah,
He could have bought
investment
Twitter
money,
with his own
and
money outright,
and
but
he
he
keeps his
needed
own.
investors.
So who are you to think that everything you're gonna do, you're gonna use your cash, or you just don't want any? They are going to come up with all kind of story. If the economy is bad, how am I going to be able to? You're going to figure it out. So,
Oh yeah.
um,
Oh yeah. Donald Trump filed bankruptcy how many times, and he's still here, very rich and very billionaire.
yeah.
So
So,
nobody's gonna create it. Again, Freddie, people will make their choices, right? What is good for you might not be good for someone else. There's this
like,
gentleman that promoted living a debt free and or buying everything cash for so long. I think it's O'Neill somebody. I forgot the
um,
first name, but
uh,
Anthony O'Neill. For years, he advertised, oh, you have to be debt free, you have to be debt free. That's awesome. But at one point, he understood that you can't live like that. He ended up going to buy, I think, a Lamborghini or whatever car he decided to buy. He bought that cash, but he also decided to go acquire some properties and use the bank's money to finance some of those properties. So you can do whatever you think is best for you, but again, we're always going to tell you what works. And there's no successful, highly successful immigrant who's going to tell you that he never used debt. As long as you use good debt, like Kiyosaki Robert talks about, just make sure it's good debt. Like when I take the example, you mentioned properties, Freddie, and just at the beginning of this year, some friends of and mine, some friends and I, we purchased a property for 225,000. We purchased the property for 225,000, a newly built townhouse, and that townhouse is currently being sold at 275,000. Our down payment was close to 50,000 or something like that. So basically, in equity, we've already made our $50,000 back, right? In equity, that money is already there if we decided to sell that property back again today. So if we were to take 200, let's say 250,000, if we were to take the 250,000 that we actually were able to raise 250,000 at a time, and instead of buying one property at 225 or 250,000, spreading that into five properties makes a whole lot of difference. In the United States, historically, properties would double in value every 10 years. So the property of 250,000 would likely become 500,000 10 years from now. So if you took 250,000 to go buy that one property, 10 years from now, you are going to be $250,000 rich. In terms of extra profit. But on top of that, you've been making some cash flow every month because you have tenants in there and rent keeps going up, right? So not only are you going to have the extra 250,000 10 years later, but if you had spread your 250,000 into four properties or five, let's just say four, what would have happened is the same four properties that you have at $250,000 each would have all doubled in value in 10 years. With your $50,000 or $60,000 down, you use the bank money to finance the property. You would just make a portion of the cash flow and the rest of it you're paying to the bank. And each little portion put together with all four properties will still make exactly whatever it is the rent was going to give you for that one property. So if you were going to get $2,000 on one property, now with four properties, you're just going to get $500 in cash flow from each property. That is still 2,000, right? With the exception that 10 years from now, you're now going to have four properties that are going to turn into $1 million worth of properties. Somebody else who was trying to stay in cash, will have a $250,000 property that turned into a $500,000 property. And at that point, you're going to be looking at $2 million worth of properties because you have 250 times four that has doubled. That is a whole lot of difference. This is you. Even if you decide that, okay, my target is to become a millionaire in 10 years, this is a game plan for you.
Exactly.
Acquire four properties, finance that, have excellent credit and get good financing for those properties. And you're going to be a millionaire 10 years from now, even if you don't do anything else. So again, Freddie, you shared so much wisdom here tonight. And I hope that people are going to go invest in their education, invest in knowledge, invest in getting a mentor. Even if they cannot pay for a mentor, they can go watch free mentors on YouTube University and Google University, and even Facebook University at this point. A lot of people are
Yeah.
doing
And
Facebook,
TikTok
Snapchat University at this point, and
Instagram.
Instagram University, and even LinkedIn University at this point. There's so much you can learn now, free knowledge out there, free knowledge. And you get the mentor, you get the ambition, right? Freddie said it, don't be scared of the money. Don't be ashamed of the money. Don't be apologetic about being rich or being wealthy or about making money. That's the thing. You have to be ambitious enough to go out there and make that. And then also go out there and use the leverage, but use that leverage very wisely. If you know that you cannot pay your bills on time, don't get into leverage. You're gonna kill yourself. Make sure that you're very disciplined with your finances before you start using leverage. Get a small credit card. If you just got here a few months ago, get a small credit card as soon as you can. They call that a secure credit card, right, Freddie?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about. I think that's a
Another day.
huge. Yeah,
It's a
because
huge topic to discuss. Get
yeah,
that and start building something. Make sure you can pay everything on time. And then at that point, you can grow your finances to a point where you can now start using leverage, like Freddie mentioned here tonight. It was really a great pleasure to be back here on this stage again with you, Freddie. I love spending
pleasure
time
was
with you
mine.
and discussing all these great things. And hopefully, it can help somebody out there. So
We
I'll
will,
just say,
for sure.
anything that we share tonight doesn't mean that we're the experts. We just want to share our knowledge. All the suggestions are welcome. Send us a message about what you would like us to talk about next. But we'll get back to you as soon as we have some availability. I'm not going to give you a promise. I don't know Freddie's
It's crazy.
calendar, and mine is also very booked. But we will always be happy to come here and share some smart moves that you can take to become successful in the United States. In all things, believe in yourself and stay hungry. Good night, Freddie, and
Good
see you
night.
next time.
See you.